Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, this House pronounces itself through motions, and March 31st was a very interesting day in this country, where this House saw it necessary to set up this committee of Covid-19. Today, 1st of October, almost 6 months down the line, we're sitting again to discuss the issue of extending the mandate of this committee. Mr. Speaker, sir, one of my biggest pet peeves is that in this country, Parliament is now taken for granted. A few weeks, I think earlier this week, I witnessed what was called as a COVID conference to discuss the way forward in terms of the preparedness of this country. That was essentially a time for the executive to praise themselves, rate themselves on what they have done. What I expected on that particular day was this committee on COVID to be given an opportunity to be able to tell the country what they have done in all the thematic areas that this House mandated them to be able to play the oversight role. Mr. Speaker, sir, on matters health issues, this country has failed. The interest has been more on commodity rather than the interest of the people. This committee has attempted to be able to pierce all those interests, but of course, because of the limitation, they have not been able to succeed. Mr. Speaker, sir, we have witnessed a situation where a lot of our health workers have died because of supposedly lack of PPEs. Well, we know now that they're actually soon going to be rotting at the KEMSA warehouses because of lack of accountability. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of economic and finance issues, we'll be told by the executive that they set aside billions to be used to cushion our small traders. But the truth of the matter is that most of our people are jobless. They cannot be able to pay their mortgages. They cannot be able to pay their rents. Yet we still talk about, our committees doing the work. I think we may need to start looking at things differently. We must be pragmatic in our way forward. The 30 days which are being sought by this committee, although earlier on I was actually against it, I would plead now with the able chairperson, Senator Kasanga, to take the 30 days and try to come up with a way that this House will be able to put its foot down when it comes to the issue of oversight. The key, most important thing is on the social, public order, and human rights. That will all be affected. It will be affected mostly because of the challenges that we have. If the executive, which was rating itself of how good they have done, the ministries, and we know most of them from the audit report that we got yesterday, because on full disclosure, Mr. Speaker, I sit in the Health Committee and we share a podium with the chairperson of the COVID-19 funds, committee, not funds. And one of the things that came out clear yesterday, through the Auditor General report, which I'm actually very pleased with the current auditor, because she did a fantastic job. She went ahead and investigated thoroughly. And what she came up with is a damning report that if I were the investigating officer or the prosecution office in this country, the first thing I would do is to move to court, just like they have been doing with governors, and seek orders that the chairperson, the entire board, the entire management of KEMSA are out of office. Why is it that they're being selective? I think what is there is that for this House, because we pronounce ourselves through motions and bills, this committee attempted to come up with a bill. It went to the lower house. It was termed as a money bill. So we couldn't succeed there. But now, moving forward, so that all these thematic areas can make sense, and we can be able to say, yes, we did not just spend money. Mr. Speaker, so I'll seek one more minute.
Sir, dakika moja nyingine.
For the money that we have spent in this ad hoc committee to make sense to the people of this country, I think it is about time that we take these reports, we take these recommendations, pass a motion, discuss a motion, and I'm happy that at least all these report on these thematic areas, because it's not only on the health committee, even on the finance and budget, and also on the public accounts, because it comes with the issues of audit. The report should be handed to standing committees with timelines where we expect to get feedback on the way forward. Otherwise, we will just be spending taxpayers' money like we did in the MES ad hoc committee, and at the end of the day, we come up with a report that will not even be able to help us move forward. So, Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, I would say that it's about time that in this country, we pay attention to issues that will be able to help us move forward. We must be pragmatic. We must be honest. And most importantly, all those people who are tasked with the responsibility of ensuring that the people in our hospital, particularly our men and women who help the health workers, are actually provided with enough resources, not getting into a scheme where it is selective. Some people here get into some corrupt deals. In fact, Mr. Speaker, sir, if you read the report on the COVID funds, which was brought to our committee yesterday by the Auditor General, you will cry. The entire process was merely a supplier-driven. Where things are driven, you know, the suppliers go, they make a deal. They make a deal with the people at KEMSA. And then when they see that they have no money, they say, you know what, since it's an emergency, let's dig our hand in this other bag, which is of the universal health care, and use that funds to say we are funding COVID expenditures, which, until today, Mr. Speaker, they are rotting in the KEMSA offices. No approval, and yet we are sitting down and saying that we are playing our role. Mr. Speaker, the executive, parliament, and judiciary must now have a conference which the three arms of government will be given enough time to be able to say the rot in each of those institutions and find a way to be able to have, milestones on how we can be able to cure the entire rot. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, after 5 years, having diligently served this House, we will go back. Some of us will come back. Others will go and become governors. Others will become, maybe the chairperson of this committee will decide to continue being an architect or come back here, and will not have done anything. We would have just lined our pocket for 5 years, and this parliament would have enjoyed being called waheshimiwas. But the end result is that we will be cast, and for generations we will pay, our children will pay, because when we had an opportunity to be pragmatic, to be honest, we failed. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, I thank you, and I hope that the 30 days will mean something to Kenya.